All right. Hello. Good day and good day to everybody. This is my first session in World Summit AI, and I'm extremely excited to be here and talk to all of you about how I believe that data and AI is ruling the world. But before we get there, a quick introduction. I lead the global applied intelligence practice in Accenture, and we call it applied intelligence instead of artificial intelligence, and there's a reason behind it because we believe that AI and other technologies around it, including data, is so critical to actually generate a solutions which can make any enterprise, any function more intelligent, and obviously help solve large problems, help generate new opportunities, and help a larger cause as well in the society and on the planet. And in the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes around, I'm going to speak more about how do we bring this to life. I'm going to talk about what's actually changing. What has changed in the last few years that we have seen, and how data and AI can actually help us accelerate the journey of digital transformation, or even creating much larger value in the society, for the businesses, for startups, for us, all of us. So with that, if I can share my screen, I think that'll be great. So, all right, here you go. All right. I hope you all can see the screen now. All right, here you go. Let's go. I can see it now. So, all right, I'm just, here you go. So let me. Why don't I start with the quote that I like actually. This is by Tim O'Reilly. I think many of you know Tim O'Reilly or O'Reilly Media. These are the same guys who host a Strata conference every year. They have a publishing house. They write a lot of things about programming, software, data analytics, right? So we all know them. But let me give a context and why. And it's a very profound quote. It says, "We are entering into a new world in which data may be more important than software." Now, we can have a different bias around the statement, but I think what it really means is that in my view, there's a lot of change that has happened in the last few years, and data has actually become a very valuable asset for organizations, for all of us, to see how we can really generate value and process and harness the data to ensure that we use artificial intelligence on top of it to create new insights which can help us evolve and create new value for the businesses and for the society at large. Now, but if you see the evolution of this, and if I go back 80 years back, and then if 1940s, it was a wave of hardware, right? So we were mostly into the hardware. We were thinking about mainframe systems, and gradually over the next 20, 30 years, it became personal. So a lot of investment went into the personal computing, right? So the hardware actually came to our desk, and we as users started playing with the machine, which we do right now. So, and then it was software. So you have large companies like Microsoft, SAP, Oracle. They started building software which can actually exploit the value from programming to generate more efficiency in the system, to create connections between various departments, function in the company, to create a lot of customer experiences which were not there earlier. And then you had the wave of internet, which actually changed the way everything happens right now. The amount of infusion of technology went exponential after the internet came into existence, and that led to digital transformation. So things like social media 20 years, 15 years back, like it just took off, and then mobility or mobile phones actually took it to the next evolution. And in fact, in this decade and last 12 to 15 years, and then we have created so much of data, like we keep talking about, 170 zettabytes of data by 2025. So it's a lot of data. When we're getting a lot of data from sensors, from our phones, from social media, how to make sense of that? Where do we go with this? And that's where the power comes in terms of explosion of data to the next level, and what do we do with the data, right? So, And I think let's talk about what's changing. And and I think beyond the data explosion that I talked to you about, I think there are three factors. One is that technology has advanced significantly in the last few years. With the compute power, with the storage going down in terms of cost, with the cloud actually. So I have a very strong belief that now that because of cloud adoption, it has become foundational to use AI and to the effect that we wanted to always use and aspire to use. The second piece is around talent. And again, talent is always scarce. We talk about scarcity, we still talk about scarcity, but guess what? Talent is increasing in this space. The number of people who have appreciation about data science has just increased. And I see three different type of personalities or personas there. One is the people who are actually the doers, like people who are really very, very involved in creating value out of data and AI and analytics. And they do this for a living, right? And then there are people who are users or consumers, like many of us. In fact, all of us, actually, anybody who's using a mobile phone is sort of a consumer for all the AI and analytics that is happening on our phones right now. And then you have the people who are translators, which are actually able to understand the needs and ensure that those needs are translated into patterns that we can prepare and develop, or models that we can develop so that we can use it more effectively for businesses and for other organizations, right? So you see this shift. And one of the examples that comes to my mind, especially with COVID, and I think what COVID has done is basically this year has just accelerated the pace of change for using data and AI, which has also gone back to the stage that we started using more compute power, right? So one of the examples that comes to my mind, and I was talking to somebody over the weekend, was the Peloton bikes, right? The bikes which are used for exercises. And you may know this company. And they have done such a terrific work in the last few months. And we were just following up them in terms of their business. And if you see that, I mean, they have actually started doing live streaming classes. They have started generating a new sort of customer experience on their bikes. They have started using data from various sensors in the bikes and trying to create new challenges, new insights which are more personalized, targeted towards their customer. Now, all that could have been done earlier, but I think the need and the trigger for doing more of that has started happening because of COVID, when people have started using more of these features and functionalities and devices sitting at home, right? And I think market cap of these companies, if you see Peloton itself, that has really doubled over the last few months. Their apps download has gone more than 300%, and that's a shift we are seeing, an acceleration that we are seeing because of use of technology more than ever before. And one of the trigger is being this current situation, the way we are living today, right? If I take this further down the line, what I really want to do is to talk to you about more about what other areas that we are working on. And I just wanted to take more of the examples that can touch us in terms of what we see in day-to-day life, vis-a-vis examples from the business. And I'll come back to the business in a while, right? So the things which I really want to talk about is how all this what we're talking about is really impacting the lives of many like us. And one of the examples that I want to take is around sustainability, right? So this is an example where this is an island in the Philippines, and what we are doing here, and our company is involved in this initiative along with Intel and the local foundation. And what we are doing here is we are trying to save the planet by using AI, right? And so what's the problem statement? The problem statement here is that coral reefs, as you know, are a very important element for sustaining local economy, for food, for various people who are dependent on that, and plus also helps you to ensure that you are saving the land itself, right, from various tides and upcurrents, right? So in this case specifically, what has happened is over the last few years, they have started seeing the degradation of the coral reefs because of multiple reasons. One is overfishing, right, or more habitation around the coastal region, right, and so on and so forth. And you can imagine why. And what's being done in this project called Corail is basically that we have put a lot of sensors along the bed so that you can see, and we're using technologies like computer vision. We're using technologies like classifier technologies to ensure that we are able to create understanding of the health of these coral reefs, which can actually feed into the scientists, and they can actually understand, how to ensure that they upgrade, or how do they ensure that they can take real actions to conserve and preserve the climate and the surroundings, right? So the next example I want to pick up is around health and safety. And as you know, many of us have been on this journey for in the COVID environment about tracing and tracking, right? This is an example from Sweden, where their health agency actually had told very clearly that they don't want to go to a complete lockdown, as you're aware, but they also want to constrain or restrain movement of the people to the extent that they can be safe and healthy. In this case specifically, what we did was we actually worked with the local telecom company Telia, and it's very interesting. We looked at all the specific needs for personal privacy, but we were able to generate analytics around all the people who are moving in and around the country or outside the country, so that the government actually can look at the data, and they can make right strategies for ensuring that they can contain COVID-19, right? So again, a very great use of using data analytics in a fashion that has not been done before because of the trigger of pandemic, right, and FEMA, right? This one, I think all of us would love this example. This is about in-store shopping experience. I think we all love that. I think we started going less than we used to go earlier. But if I ask you a question, have you recently experienced a case where you went to a grocery shop or a shopping place and you couldn't find what you wanted because of lack of that supply? I think we would have all had some experience of that kind. And in some countries, it was more of a not availability of toilet papers, right, if you may. And you must have read a lot of news around that. So what we did for one of the major retailers was to use this opportunity to help them reimagine their supply chain in terms of their distribution, in terms of their forecasting, and for essential goods. So again, a lot of data in terms of customer behavior from inside the company to external data that we had procured from outside to understand what's happening in the market, what sort of forecasting is required for this sort of goods, and how do we make sure that all the 12,000 stores have enough capacity to handle the load for the customers who are looking for those kind of items. The good thing is that we are not done there, because in this country, the upcoming holidays are coming up. So and in fact, in most of the countries, holidays are coming, the season is there. So they are looking for using the similar models, similar patterns to ensure that their customers stay happy and they get what they needed to get from the company as we go along. And this is an example about celebrating life. I'm personally very touched with this example. This is about depression and dementia for elderly people, as you know, and which happens due to loneliness, right? And especially in the aged population which are single, right? As you can imagine. So what we have done here is we have created a new experience for them, which is called Memory Lane. And what it does is actually it captures their memorable experiences, which has two benefits. One is it captures and records what they really want to tell the stories to the app, but also it is helping them to have a companionship in their day-to-day life. So this has gone very well as a program. This is being rolled out to many people right now. And this actually helps them to create a podcast. It has a lot of features in terms of outcomes, but a very profound thought in terms of what all could be done by data and AI. Right? And my last comments would be around what are we set out to in terms of ruling the hearts of people or ruling the world. The examples that I showed you, obviously, you can connect with them, as most of us can connect with them. But in the world of business as well, there's so much going on right now in terms of using data and AI to create business value, in terms of revenue growth, in terms of cost efficiencies in supply chain, in terms of even mitigating risk and compliance, which is required by a lot of regulatory authorities. and the potential is huge in front of us. We all have a lot to do in this area. I always keep saying that we are just entering. We're just entering into decades of exploration and working towards a very purposeful and intelligent future for us. With that thought, I will say thank you, and we'll be open to answer, have a discussion or have a Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjeev. That was a great way to start the day. I really love those examples, especially the one about celebrating life. I want to know more about that. If you have questions for Sanjeev, please follow the link in the chat, and this will bring you into the Q&A following his session. We're going to take a short break right now, but during this time, you are welcome to do the one-to-one networking via the networking tab, and also be sure to visit the cyberspace arena. I'll see you back here at 5 after.